One thing that I definitely wanted to pledge for here in 2017 for this channel is to get to a couple of more rock albums. 2016, that was something that took a little bit of a break. It was not one that I examined quite as often as I had in years past. So here in 2017, we're going to start off with a band that was really highly requested whenever their debut came out. That band is Starset. This is their brand new album, Vessels, the first rock album that we're going to be talking about and looking into here in 2017. Now, Starset is a band that have been self-described as having elements of Muse with the soulfulness, whatever, of Breaking Benjamin. Maybe the aggression is more what they mean by that, because one side definitely seems to come out a little bit more than the other, and that's the Breaking Benjamin side. Not so much compositionally, that one is certainly somewhat unique to Starset's own philosophy, but vocally there definitely has some real harmonious sections that are then offset by some yells that definitely bear in mind some of the similar signatures to a band such as BB, either that or even 3 Days Grace. So this is definitely not something for the metal-minded individual, but there are some moments that might make it interesting. Now, this is a 15-track affair. The first album was 13 tracks and clocked in at an hour long. This one is 10 minutes longer, and I think that actually works to its detriment. This is an album that has a lot of great ideas that are sort of engrossed within it. It's one that also embraces a little bit of the modern sensibility of music creation, which means that there are some tracks that are a little bit more basic than others that really stick to just the same couple of chords in order to really deliver a message. But I like the soulfulness that this album does paint at times. Sometimes it's just an album that has a real nice soft voice to it that's delivering almost a very soulful's the best word that I could really use for it, or almost a semi-romantic touch to it. It's like, and there's also a big-time reference point that you get right from the second track with Satellite that you gain throughout this album. It is mentioned quite often. It becomes a recurring theme, and it seems like whenever the Satellite is spoken about, it's always within the same tone of voice, which is a bit softer, which gives it a little bit of a sort of hidden meaning. It almost feels like the satellite is meant to revolve around somebody who is close to you, either that or really reflect the sort of closeness or some sort of symbolism to the universe. It's very cool, and I do like that element of it. I do like the fact that there is a lot of very cosmic or starstruck ideal here that you definitely get through songs such as Starlight. Ricochet kind of reminded me a little bit of a club song in some ways. It has a little bit more of that very synth-heavy production to it. It's one that has sort of that modern appeal within that variety. And that's not always a bad thing. You have to understand this is a band that is not only trying to make it in sort of the rock market, the alternative market. That's one that's really got its, I guess, pantheon already set, considering rock right now is sort of in a weird transitional period. But they also can get a little bit of contrasting airplay over on some pop stations as well, considering it does have some similar ideas that could easily make that market just as viable for them, even though on other songs they have a harder edge and even toss in a very deep scream or two. And really, what I like about this, I think, the most is that it does have a little bit of variety. You can hear some gent-style riff patterns on a song such as Frequency, and then you have these, closer to conventional pop sensibilities, this club mix idea that kind of gives it a strange little double-edged sword. You're not too sure what is happening next. But what is also interesting is that painting all of those different genres or different ideas together, while also having an album that is able to consistently flow very much like a concept release, certainly has given Starset a bit of a reputation, at least within my mind, as a group that knows what they want to do and knows how to make it work and flow to their advantage. Does that necessarily make this a great album? Well, it definitely makes it a little bit more bearable to get through. 70 minutes might just be a little bit too much. I feel like they went a little bit above and beyond the call of duty, and it sort of works against them, as some songs will start to blend together and sound very similar. Now, you could say that that's part of the conceptual idea, and I would be one to give you a pass within that opinion, but it's one where also that variety becomes a bit of its worst enemy for this group, where sometimes you would expect there to be a little bit more of a softer or more melodious section where instead they opt to go a little bit more, I guess, aggressive, or a little bit more of the high-tempo variety. For example, the very last track, Everglow, feels like it should be a moment where they explore some new locales musically, or perhaps divulge into some sort of real explosive finale that gives a lot to a listener to remember of this album, and it just falls a little bit flat. It's one that has a lot of that electronic, that synth register to it, and just feels a little bit lost within itself. I do like the fact that this is an album that's unafraid to take a couple of those risks, but it's just one that didn't quite work out for them. I look forward to seeing and hearing what these guys are able to do with their junior release, considering this is their sophomore. Would I call it a slump? I don't know if I would go that far. I think that their first release is better, but this one is still a solid 17 out of 30. It's still one that demands a little bit of exploration if you're into this style of music, if you like alternative, if you like where modern rock combined with some of this club or synth elements. If you like that, there's a good chance that you're going to like Starset, so give Vessels a chance. For those that are not really into that, this is probably one to stay away from, unless, of course, you're bored some night and want to try something new. But I don't know what you guys think about this album. Let me know in the comments below. My name is coverkillernation, and hopefully this is the first of many non-metal albums that we talk about this year. Stay tuned. I'll talk to you later.